Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a country facing a major financial crisis, a bank collapse, and then, well, a surprising shift in its political landscape. What if the very families connected to the pre-collapse business dealings ended up, in positions of significant power? That's the fascinating deep dive we're taking today, based on the material you shared with us. Our mission really is to explore the alleged influence of certain families on Icelandic politics right after that major bank collapse, drawing insights, well, directly from your sources.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how the sources describe a very specific kind of power transition. It's quite striking.
How so?
Well, they paint this picture where the tools of governance, the levers of power, became accessible to individuals who were, let's say, directly linked to past financial structures. And this really raises an important question about how societies respond, how they reconfigure after such a huge economic shock.
Absolutely. Your sources paint a vivid, almost stark picture of this shift. They indicate that after the bank collapse, individuals representing families involved in what the sources call doing business with ingenuity.
Which sounds a bit like a euphemism, perhaps.
It could be interpreted that way, yes.
Yeah.
Like implying a certain shrewdness or maybe a less than transparent approach. Anyway, these individuals were apparently made chairmen of Icelandic political parties or got high-ranking ministerial jobs.
Right. And it wasn't just a general changing of the guard. Your sources specifically highlight a contrast.
What's that?
They say that while these new figures were moving up, their predecessors, the ones holding similar positions before the collapse, were sort of moved sideways. Or maybe outwards.
Lowards.
Yeah, sent to work at international organizations. The sources mention the UN, the World Bank, places like that. It suggests, perhaps, a deliberate reshuffling, not just a natural turnover.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Your sources go further. They claim these newly empowered figures got the tools that society has at their disposal to protect themselves from prosecution or other legal proceedings. That's a strong claim.
It is a very strong claim.
What kind of tools might the sources be implying there? How could that kind of leverage work in a political role?
Well, the sources seem to suggest this leverage could come through control over policymaking, maybe influence on judicial appointments, or even pushing through legislative changes that might, shield individuals from legal trouble related to those past financial dealings. It's about more than just holding office. It's potentially about shaping the rules of the game.
That definitely adds another layer to these transitions. And your sources give specific examples of this alleged pattern, right?
They do. For instance, they talk about the family identified as the biggest shareholder in Icelandic, one of the banks right in the middle of the collapse. According to your material, this family allegedly handed over the Independence Party to their family member, Bjarni Benediktsson. So a direct family line into controlling a major political party, as the sources put it.
Now, there's another example like that.
Yes, Gunnlaugur M. Sigmundsson. The sources call him Mr. Navision Iceland, later Microsoft Iceland. His son, Sigmundur Davíð Gunnlaugsson. Well, he was apparently handed the Progressive Party.
And he became prime minister, didn't he?
That's right, he became prime minister, and he's the same PM from that rather famous interview, the one where he walked out when asked about a tax haven connection.
Ah, yes, I remember that making headlines. So the sources connect these figures.
They do. They specifically mention Bjarni Benediktsson and Gunnlaugur M. Sigmundsson having this togetherness, as they put it, in companies like Matter HF and Vafninger HF. And according to your material, this connection then led to them actually forming a government together.
A government formed by figures linked in business and heading major parties, allegedly handed over by family.
Exactly. And interestingly, that government didn't last too long after that tax haven interview incident involving the prime minister.
The connections seem quite intricate, according to these documents. Does it mention other parties?
It does, yeah. The pattern of sort of family ties influencing party leadership seems to continue. The sources point to the Askilsson family from Akureyri. They're reportedly connected to Valgerður Sverrisdóttir, who was a former minister for the Progressive Party.
Okay.
And then there's a mention of a romantic relationship involving someone from the Askilsson family and the sister of Logi Einarsson.
Yeah, Logi Einarsson.
He subsequently became the chairman of the Social Democratic Alliance Party. The sources also bring up Össur Skarphéðinsson as sort of a main symbol, a key figure for that party around that time.
So connections crossing party lines, too.
It seems that way, based on the sources. And finally, there's a mention of the folks that were involved in the national movement, Icelandic movement, or the Future Land,
Right.
they apparently had an ally in the Minister for the Interior, Ögmundur Jónasson, who is from the VG, the Left Green Party.
Okay, so quite a web of alleged connections across the political spectrum. Now, it's really important to pause here and remind everyone listening, we're reporting directly what your sources reveal about these connections, these alleged patterns. We're not, endorsing any particular viewpoint here. We're simply trying to understand the dynamics and implications as they're laid out in the material you've provided us.
Absolutely. And if we try to, connect this to the bigger picture, what seems to emerge, at least according to your sources, is this pattern. A pattern of interconnected families seemingly navigating a post-crisis environment, ending up in positions of, well, significant political influence.
Which raises some big questions, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes you wonder about the mechanisms through which power can shift and maybe even consolidate, especially in a time when public trust might be really low after a major national crisis.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Considering this deep dive into Iceland's post-bank collapse landscape, based on these sources, what does it make you think about? About the relationship between, say, economic power, family ties, and political control, especially in times of profound national crisis. It's certainly something to mull over. Makes you wonder about the long-term impact on governance and accountability, doesn't it?